for 4, the other one burned for 4 hours and 15 minutes and 20 something seconds. Like, there's ways you can do things to create additional heat in cold weather. Like, there's affordable ways to do things is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. You've just got to find what works for you. If you're living in an apartment, space is an issue. If you live in a grand sprawling home, your bigger issue is going to be maintaining that thing when the grid goes down, right? And you're going to wish you had a little apartment and less space to try to heat or cool or manage, right? So do what you can with what you have. That's our motto, right? As preppers, like, we're going back to the Great Depression. One of the most famous quotes that my grandma would give us all the time from the Great Depression: use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without.
Yeah, love it.
So there's always something you can do. There's always something that you can reuse or repurpose. Like, get creative in your preps. And the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to adapt and overcome. So with that, absolutely. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
Well, do we want to try and touch on what I was mentioning about, I know we're running out of time, but on my biggest concern on society and such? We want to try and touch on that, or we want to save that for another? Yeah, let's try and do this as quickly as possible. It's probably a bigger topic than any of the ones we've discussed so far. And it sometimes weighs on my mind every single day, you know. And like Scott started out saying, is that, you know, let's address the elephant in the room, right? And for me, the elephant in the room is the our collapsing society. And it's not all at once, it's by 1,000 different cuts, right? It's a dozen, a million different little things that are imperceptible over time, unless you're able to see the big picture, right? You're able to see, if you're trying to conform and to go with the flow and compete with the Joneses, you know, keep up with the Joneses. You're trying to follow the trends. You're trying to fit in. You're not going to see it, right? Because you're going along with it. And so it's all these little things. And I don't want to get into all the little things because, again, that would take us hours to discuss.
Maybe let's make that a whole show.
That could be a whole show just about a collapsing society.
I mean, you can get into so many different layers of that. And I think we have to make it a whole show.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but let me just touch on a few things, you know, that have been on my mind, that have been really troubling me, because this is really, and I guess I say troubling because certain things I see affecting my family and my kids, and my immediate brothers and sisters, those who I love, who are around me, that it's just part of their life. They've adopted these things, you know. And for me, it's a big red flag, big red light, big alarm going off that man, I'm worried about this person because their views are changing. They're conforming to what the World Economic Forum, these big 3-letter agencies, these big world organizations are spewing. And I use the word spew because it's awful, right? We associate that word with vomiting, with something disgusting. And it is absolutely disgusting to me. And I know that if I touch on some of these topics, it will offend some people, right? It will offend because they've adopted some of these things. And I think you're right. We should take a whole show and touch on these as delicately as possible. But I mean, just look at what happened just this week in Hollywood, you know, with the slap. That's a whole show almost by itself. And I see some of my own family buying into that. And, you know, again, I'm just going to say, I think it was fake. It was rehearsed. Anyway, all these little things, the words we hear, new normal, right? The new normal. This is the new normal. So accept it. Just give in. Just become part of it. Assimilate, right? No, I'm not going to do that, because that's what they, you know, that's, we always use that word they, and don't specify who they are, but between us, we know who they are, right? And those, I think, hopefully, who are listening to us know what I'm referring to, who I'm referring to. But it's the groupthink, right? The individual is the most persecuted class on the planet, right? The individual is what our Constitution, our rights were based around. not the group. We're not a democracy. This is not a democracy. It never has been. It's not addressed in the Constitution. And everything is done. We need to save our democracy. We need to share democracy. We're going into this country to protect democracy. That is two wolves and a lamb deciding what's for dinner, right? That is what democracy is. It is mob rule. So that word democracy shouldn't have anything to do with anybody's vocabulary. And again, it makes me ill when people use these words in such a favorable light. We need to do this, we need to do that to improve our society, when it's just turning our society downward. And
they're creating
it's a cancer.
They're creating a scenario that doesn't exist to force an agenda that they're trying to make everything their way. And as prepared-minded individuals, as ready-minded people, it is our job to see through that and to watch for that. And that's why we do this show, guys. That's why we have our social media. That's why we're trying to share as much as we can. And unfortunately, I would love to keep going, but we are out of time for today. But I want to thank you guys for being here, for listening, for being part of the discussion, because a lot of the content we talk about on every show is content we get from you on our social media channels. So please continue to interact with us, continue to engage. Check out preppertalkradio.com. We've got links there to all the things we talked about today. Make sure you join our Facebook group. Go to preppertalkradio.com, click on join the group on there, click on join the group there under the resource page, and you'll be in. Like, it's that easy. So stick with us, stay with us, and until next time, stay ready-minded.
Amen. Take care.
Amen.